Welcome again to Cottage Talk. I am Russ Goldman. This is my initial reaction show, my full-time show right after the match with Fulham's victory against Tottenham Hotspur 2-0 to Fulham at Craven Cottage. What a great victory for Fulham. I was a little nervous watching this match. I'll go through my thoughts, my initial reaction coming up shortly. If you are new to Cottage Talk, please do subscribe on our YouTube channel and like this episode. I would certainly appreciate that. Trying to get the numbers up. I'd like to try to get it to 1,000. I've really been pushing our YouTube channel. It would mean a lot to me if you are a Fulham supporter or support any team to just give us a like and then also give us a subscribe. It really does nothing. It would just help our numbers. Listen, you would also get notified when we go live, and we do a lot of good shows. So please do subscribe and like on YouTube. I would very much appreciate that. Okay, well, anyone that has watched full-time knows that this show usually goes about 20 to 25 minutes. It's just an initial reaction. We will have a post-match show. I will have a lot of content, other shows coming afterwards, and some of them will actually be on the Cottage Talk Patreon page. If you're interested, please do check out the Cottage Talk Patreon page. And if you're watching live with me, and I hope you are, please feel free to share your thoughts on this match. Let me know who was your man of the match. Okay, so I've got some comments coming in. I'm just going to share a couple with everyone. You beat the Spurs, so need to end your season. No need to end your season just yet, Russ. I'm sorry. There's a Goldman for you, Chris. Thank you very much for sharing that. I do have the Reynolds joining me as always. So thank you guys for joining me live. I do want to mention anyone that cares, no one's probably going to care about this, but I'm going to share what my prediction was for this match beforehand. It was 2-0 to Fulham. And I really felt confident going into this. Partly, it had to do with the fact that Spurs were coming off of playing Thursday night in the Europa League. I thought that might benefit Fulham. And I just thought that Fulham, going into it, were the better side. Table doesn't lie. I had a Spurs supporter come at me and say, well, we have had all these injuries. That's the reason why the table does lie. No, this is who you are. And honestly, Spurs played pretty good, but so did Fulham. And Fulham did more than enough to win this match. They deserve 2-0. I'll just leave it at that. When I get to my initial reaction, that's really what I'm going to start with. When you look over the entire match, Fulham deserved to win it. Second half was a little bit different than the first half, where Ange Postecoglou changed things up at halftime. Have to give him credit for that. And then Spurs seemed to get a little bit of a hold in that second half, and we're creating opportunities, some dangerous opportunities. But then Marco changed it back with his substitutions, which came in. I think the substitutions in the second half for Fulham changed the match. And I don't think I'm understating that when both of your goals are from players that were substitutes. Ryan Sessegnon and Rodrigo Muniz, who actually played tremendous in this match. So he should be in the running for man of the match along with William. There are so many players that I think are in contention for that. But I do want to mention Rodrigo Muniz and obviously Ryan Sessegnon scoring against Tottenham. That must have been very interesting for him. But you know what? Like I said, overall, getting back to my initial reaction, Fulham were the better side. The performance wasn't the greatest overall, but it's not about that. It's finding ways to win, taking advantage of your opportunities when they come to you. And they came in the second half. First half, there really wasn't much in it. You have the opportunity from Castagna, which he honestly should have got more on it. But beyond that, it really was not a great first half for either side. I think it was a little bit of a chess match just going back and forth. But when I go through my first half analysis, that's where I'm going. Not much difference between the two sides, except Fulham had more of the possession and controlled more of the first half. I think they more than edged the first half. I thought they were better in the first half. which for me was a little bit disappointing because I actually said to Tony Gold before the match, we're messaging back and forth, that I thought Fulham's way to win this was they had to get up on this team. They had to score the early goal because I knew that they would be making substitutions in the second half. When you looked at the starting 11 and the decision that Ange Postecoglou made with his starting 11, there were many changes, and I think a lot had to do with the fact that they played in Europe on Thursday. And I thought that was a wonderful opportunity for Fulham to get up on this team. But they didn't offer enough to get that goal in the first half. And the second half played out a little bit different than I had hoped. But in the end, they found a way to win. But when you look at the first half, Fulham were the better side. But I do have to mention this. I'm sure everyone's going to talk about this. The ref was crap again. He was terrible. I will talk about the argument that I've seen on the broadcast I had was that Spurs deserved the penalty. Let me just say I disagree. It's the challenge by Bassi late in the match. Fulham were up 1-0 when that happened. I don't think so. It was cleared by VAR. I don't think that's a penalty. But you're going to hear a lot of this from Spurs supporters that are going to hold their hat on that. They didn't deserve anything from this match, regardless of that situation. By the way, I can make the argument of some situations from the ref early in the match in the first half. Now, the situation with Raul, I don't think that's a penalty. I think that was a big dive from him. If I'm going to be honest with you, there was a little push, but that wasn't a penalty. You might disagree with me. I've watched that back a few times. However, there should have been a free kick for Willian. How was that not called? That was ridiculous. So again, the ref really was just crap, and it played out in the first half. It really, I think, affected what we watched in the first half. The ref is actually the story in the first half to me. So basically, coming out of the first half, I'm thinking, uh-oh. The fact that we're at 0-0, I'm thinking Marco needs to change things up. And I was concerned that he might wait too long to make those changes because I had a feeling Postecoglou would make changes, and he made them early. And let's talk about that. So before the beginning of the second half, he makes two significant changes. He brings on Son and Bergveld that I believe both changed the balance of what we saw at the beginning of that second half. That gave them more of the control. I think that is what we saw from the get-go in the beginning of the second half. And I'm thinking, please, Marco, do not wait too long to make your substitutions because it might have been too late. The way that early stage of the second half was going, credit to the Spurs and Postecoglou because those substitutions really gave them probably that control that they were looking for. Then it was up to Marco to change it back. And honestly, I think he did. And just overall, when I go through my analysis of the second half, when I go through some of the key moments, I'll be curious what everyone thinks about this. But for me, the difference in the match was the substitutions. They made a huge difference. I'll be going through a couple of them coming up next with Traore and Adama. But you also have Tom Kearney making a difference. And let's talk about Ryan Sessegnon, obviously making a huge difference, scoring a goal, but also very dangerous when he was on in a very short period of time. I was making the argument that maybe you start Ryan Sessegnon, but I think we know why Marco's a genius because he made the right decision by starting Willian because he was excellent. And I'm sure everyone's going to be talking about that. And he should be up for man of the match because he really made a difference, almost scored a goal. Thought he was phenomenal. But let me go on a little bit further and talk about the substitution. So, like I said, Spurs had control. And then Marco brought on Adama and brought on, here's a Goldman for you, brought on Muniz. So basically, he brought on both of those players that made just a difference, got control back to Fulham. And then he brings on Kearney, which I think was also a part of that control. So now you have Kearney on, Traore on, and Muniz on. They all made a difference in getting more of Fulham into that second half, because until that point, until Marco made these substitutions, Spurs looked more likely to score that first goal. In fact, they had a very good opportunity to score. You had a good save from Bern Leno when I look at that. And then you had that follow-up by Solanke. Thankfully, it did not go in the back of the net, but that was a really good opportunity from Tottenham Hotspur that they did not capitalize on. And then, like I said, you have the substitutions from Fulham. So as the second half went on, I'm thinking this is looking like it's going to be basically a draw. It looked like that's where this was headed. But of course, that's not what ended up happening. So let's talk about the goal from Rodrigo Muniz. And this was a great team goal. Set him up beautifully. And just a wonderful goal goes in the back of the net. And at that point, I'm thinking Fulham are going to hold on to the victory. But I still was nervous, even though they scored this goal, that they would be able to do this. And also, it would be great to keep a clean sheet, but he scores a goal. But beyond that, Rodrigo Muniz made a huge difference when he came on. His hold-up play, his link-up play, just a great performance by him. Nothing against Raul, who works his socks off, but Muniz made a difference when he came on. Marco pulled all the right levers in this one, and one of them was Rodrigo Muniz, who gave Fulham the lead. And that's going to lead to talk about, as you would say over in England, I just want to share, Muniz scores in the 78th minute. That's when it happened. So after that, you do have the talk I was listening to shortly after that. Bergvall, who was flopping all over the place, honestly looking for a penalty, gets himself into a situation to potentially win a penalty with a challenge from Calvin Bassey. Now, the announcers I listened to said it was a penalty. VAR cleared it. It was not a penalty. And even Ange Postecoglou said that his players weren't outraged by it. So, again, I'm reading between the lines. But for me, it wasn't a penalty. But there's going to be an argument. You're going to hear that from Spurs supporters. They deserved the penalty. Well, even if they did, Fulham scored 2 goals. They win the match. I'll go there. Okay. So there have been plenty of situations where Fulham have not been awarded a penalty. So I'm not going to cry for Spurs on this one, but I'm just telling everyone who has friends that are Spurs supporters, they're going to bring this up. They're totally going to bring this up. And I would go tell them, just don't bother. Let's go pound sand. Fulham deserved the victory. They absolutely did. Okay. So coming up next, I'm going to talk about the goal that put the match away, and then I'll end with man of the match. Okay. Once again, thank you everyone who is watching live with me after Fulham's victory. I really do appreciate that. And I mentioned earlier, if you could, please do subscribe and like this video on YouTube. I would very much appreciate that. Okay. So let's end this show talking about Ryan Sessegnon. So here's a guy that I've really been just saying over and over again. He's getting better. He needs more game time. The preview show, I asked the question, maybe should he start? Marco made the right decision by playing William. Let's say it like it is. But Ryan Sessegnon has been making an impact every single time he's come off the bench lately. And here he is. He bullies the defender, gets the shot off, and puts the match away. What a great goal from Ryan Sessegnon. Kisses the badge. We saw all that. That was just a wonderful moment for someone that, again, this is a huge redemption story. So I just want to congratulate Ryan Sessegnon for everything that he has done since coming back. And also when he was with the club first time. He's one of our own. He's now back here and he's loved. So congratulations to you, Ryan Sessegnon. What a wonderful goal by you. You've just been doing such a great job these past several weeks. It's just phenomenal to see, and just it's almost like adding another player right now, having him back. So, okay, so let's end with man of the match. I definitely want to end there. I just want to share a couple of comments from the Fulham supporters before I go on any further. This is from my friend here. Says ref was watching a different game. Yeah. And Isaac says spot on the prediction. Yes. Yes. And PT says, yes, he's one of our own. And Isaac also says Ryan Session. Okay. So Emma gets us going by saying man of the match, Willian. I have to go with Willian as well. So Steve Reynolds says man of the match, Willian. The older you get, the better you get. And I totally agree with that, Steve. So my man of the match, I'm going with you, is Willian. But there were some really good performances in there. Just players I want to talk about. I'll be doing a player rating show sometime this week with Tony Gold. One of the players I want to talk to him about and get his thoughts on is Calvin Bassey, the way he was bullying the Tottenham players. I enjoyed that fully. He played well. Again, there are some very good performances. I've already talked about Rodrigo Muniz. Sander Berg was solid as always. Fulham had some very good performances, and we'll go through that in our player rating show, which is exclusive to the Cottage Talk Patreon page. But I definitely want to give Willian man of the match. I think he deserved that. Definitely deserved that. So let's see. Cameron Patrick Scott from radio commentary sounds like man of the match Robinson. Okay. So this is from PT man of the match William, but Muniz was immense when he came on. He was immense. So I'm glad that you mentioned that as well. But like I said, some very good performances. We'll go through all the players on the rating show, which I do with Tony Gold. I look forward to doing that. I look forward to doing a post-match show that will be coming soon, either tonight or tomorrow. We'll be doing that, and I look forward to sharing that with you. Okay, I'm going to wrap up this quick show. I don't know about everyone else, but I'm pretty excited coming off this victory. I want to enjoy it a little bit. I'll get this edited quickly, and then I'm going to enjoy my day. But I do want to wrap this up. Thank you, everyone who is watching live. My name is Russ Goldman. Thank you, as always, for watching and listening to Cottage Talk, part of the Talk Sport Fan Network.